Plywood edges like this can actually look like this. I stopped using edge banding. Instead, I'm testing 4 different fillers, and I'll show you which ones came out on top. I've stopped using edge banding on my painted plywood projects, and looking back, I haven't used it on any of the 6 built-ins I've built over the last couple of years, but I'm not just painting over those edges either. I'm doing something a little different to take them from a rough and raw edge to a smooth and finished one. Right now, I'm actually adding some shelves inside this office built-in, and since I'm using plywood for the shelves, I figured it would be the perfect opportunity to share the process I use and test out a few different options. I've tried a handful of different fillers on my projects, so I'm going to test 4 of them on these shelves, 1 on each front edge, and I'll walk through the pros and cons, where I like to use each one, and which one I reach for the most. With the rough texture and the voids often found in plywood edges, they need a finishing method. But a lot of people don't realize you don't have to rely on iron-on edge banding to get a clean result. And just to say, this isn't a dig on iron-on edge banding at all. It definitely has its place, especially if you're going for a natural wood finish or you're staining your project. But when I'm painting my projects, I almost always reach for filler because it gives a much smoother, more solid wood-looking finish on the edges. And for me, it also avoids a few of the common frustrations with edge banding, like the glue failing and peeling over time if it's not adhered perfectly, or the rough texture of plywood showing through the veneer of the banding since it's so thin. Because honestly, depending on the quality of the plywood, some prep work is still needed before applying edge banding. So sometimes it feels like a bit of an extra step for me. And then getting those seams lined up perfectly can be tricky, even when using a specialty trimming tool like this. So filler has become a really simple go-to method for me when I'm working with plywood that will be painted. Over the years, I've tried a few different fillers on plywood edges, from Spackle and wood filler to Glazing Putty and Bondo. And while they all can give a similar end result, each one has its own pros and cons. So let's test them out. First up is Spackle. It's most commonly used for filling small imperfections in drywall, but I have also tested it on plywood edges. It glides on really easily and sands beautifully, even just by hand. The downside is that it's not very strong, so it can scratch or dent more easily if it gets a lot of wear and tear. I find this works best in very low impact areas like you see here on this frame under these drawer fronts where it's painted and not getting much wear and tear. Next is wood filler, which is designed specifically for filling in imperfections in wood, although I will say not all wood fillers are created equal. It's inexpensive, has decent strength, and sands nicely by hand. Some wood fillers can shrink slightly as they dry, and some are easier to spread than others. The consistency can really vary by brand. I have used wood filler in a lot of applications, like on the inside of shelving in my built-ins, around the edge of cabinet door builds, and on the tops of plywood edges when I'm building drawer boxes. The next one is not a commonly talked about filler, and that's glazing putty. I don't usually use this on plywood edges, but since it's a great one for small areas, I thought it would be a good one to compare. It's a solvent-based putty that comes ready to use right out of the tube. It dries hard, but it sands so easily and it leaves a perfectly smooth finish. And I do love that it's a one-part system and doesn't require a hardener or mixing. It's designed to resist shrinking, but not in larger areas. So if your plywood has big voids, I'd skip it. I do keep it on hand for pinholes and small touch-ups though. It's also more expensive and has a strong odor, so ventilation and PPE are important. I like glazing putty for small areas because it's convenient and ready to go in the tube, and it really does sand to a smooth finish. I would only use it on plywood that has hairline imperfections. And lastly, Bondo is a 2-part polyester resin-based compound. It's actually commonly used in auto body repair, but it's also incredibly durable for woodworking applications. It's by far the strongest and most durable option out of the 4, and it resists shrinking, so it's great for larger voids in plywood. However, it is a 2-part system and it has to be mixed in small batches because it has a very short working time. Because this product does dry up so quickly, you're going to want to clean off your putty knife right away. And if you happen to have any hardened filler that won't come off, a helpful tip that I like to use is just to take some sandpaper to the putty knife and sand it off. It also has a very strong odor, so ventilation and PPE are a must. It's a little harder to sand by hand, so I usually use my palm sander to get the best result. I use this for high traffic areas or larger surfaces like doubled up plywood edges on something like a countertop, like I did here on my HUTCH countertop build, really anywhere that durability is needed. So in conclusion, even though it's not the strongest option, wood filler is actually the one I reach for most often. It's inexpensive, easy to work with, sands well by hand, and for most painted cabinet applications, it does exactly what I need. But as I mentioned earlier, the brand really matters. My first choice when selecting wood filler is usually Lepage. I like their white or natural wood filler. My second choice would be Elmers. Both of these products spread nicely, are not too gritty, and most importantly, they sand to a really nice smooth finish. I'll link these options in the description below. But no matter which filler you use, the product is only half of the equation. The way you apply it makes a huge difference in how clean the final edge looks. So let me walk you through the step-by-step process that I like to use. The first step I always do is prime the edges. Priming raises the grain of the wood fibers, which is very important because in our next step, we are going to sand with 180 grit sandpaper to remove them. This gives us a really nice smooth edge, but we still need to deal with the voids and unevenness of all of those layers. So next we are applying the filler. If you've prepped your surface properly by doing the first two steps, you will not need much filler. I apply a fairly thin layer just to smooth out any uneven texture, and I found that's all it really needs. If you apply too much filler, you're just creating more sanding for yourself. Once that is dry, I sand again with 220 grit. This is a gentler sand, and it's an important part to make sure everything is completely smooth and there isn't any buildup along the edges. Sometimes I will even use a flashlight if I'm using white filler or spackle, since it can blend in with the white primed wood just to make sure there isn't any product buildup. At this point, I also check for shrinking and refill if needed. If there are larger voids in the edges, some areas may need a refill. To avoid this, I try to apply the filler a little heavier just in those spots so I don't have to go back more than once. And then the last step is a quick prime over the filler. It's important to seal the filler. I find that using an oil or shellac-based primer works best, especially with Bondo or Glazing Putty, to help cover the color difference of those products. But I've also used water-based bin primer as well, and it works fine on the wood filler and spackle. All right, let's look at the results of each of the products on these shelves. Here is the spackle. It was the easiest to apply and sand, and it looks great. The only downside is that if your plywood has larger voids, this one has the least amount of strength. So it's not ideal for areas that will get a lot of wear and tear. I'm not concerned about that here, so I'd be totally fine using spackle on these shelf fronts. Next is the wood filler. It looks great here. It's very similar to spackle, but it does provide a bit more strength and resistance to wear and tear. I would definitely use this product as well on these shelving fronts. It performs great on plywood edges. Next is the glazing putty, and as you can see here, it did fail in these two voids on this shelf front. It also has a strong odor, dries pretty quickly, and it's a bit more expensive. It's the darkest of the fillers with a bright red color, so it does need a good oil-based primer to fully cover it. Even though it sands beautifully and gives a really smooth finish, I feel like the cons outweigh the pros on this one. Lastly, Bondo is the strongest solution, and it sands to a really smooth finish. It looks great here, but it does take a bit more work since it's a two-part system and it has a very strong odor. Honestly, for something like a shelf front, I don't think it's really worth the extra cost or effort. That said, it's 100% my go-to for larger surfaces like the doubled up plywood edges on countertops or any high traffic areas where durability really matters. So my final takeaway is that for most situations, I reach for wood filler. It's reliable, easy to work with, and it gives a great finish. For low traffic areas, I like spackle. It's the easiest to apply and sand. And when extra durability is needed, I go with Bondo. It's strong, long lasting, and perfect for high traffic spots or larger surfaces. I'd love to know if you've tried this method and what your go-to filler is for plywood edges. I have also shared this process in my locker built-in video. If you want to see it in the stages of my building process, I will link that video below in the description. And you will also be able to see it along with my other start to finish builds in these upcoming videos, which will be dropping soon. My wall-to-wall office built-in with library rail track system, and this ladder that I built. This sewing hutch built-in with fold-down desks, and these built-in wall nooks I made to store the extra chairs, my dining hutch built-in, and my laundry room floor-to-ceiling pantry units I'm building in our pantry nook that have space-saving pull-out laundry racks. If this was helpful for you, or you have other suggestions for videos you would like me to share, please let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.